Barack Obama's wins put him ahead of Hillary Clinton in the delegate count. Obama now has an estimated 1,215 delegates to Clinton's 1,190. But both candidates are still far from the 2,025 delegates needed to cinch the nomination. On the Republican side, John McCain now has 812 delegates. Mike Huckabee, 217. They need 1,191 delegates to become the party's nominee. Political analyst Mark Curtis joins us live this morning from Washington, D.C., and we'll talk about this. Good morning, Mark.
Ross, good morning. I can tell you the weather, by the way, in Washington, D.C. right now is absolutely miserable.
And I'm wondering how that weather affected the turnout yesterday in the primaries.
Oh, I tell you what, it was a mess yesterday afternoon. Things went fine all day, and then it hit about 4 o'clock. It started to rain here, and the rain quickly turned to freezing rain and ice. It was absolute gridlock on the Beltway, on all the roads and highways in the District of Columbia and in the suburbs. And consequently, people were stuck in traffic in the same spot for 4 and 5 hours without moving. So thousands of people never got a chance to vote yesterday. It'll be interesting to see if that really had any impact. Perhaps there's a way to determine that, but it was really sad that so many people could not vote.
Well, Hillary Clinton said even yesterday she didn't expect to win the Potomac primaries, but you think she expected Barack Obama to win by so much?
Well, she got blown out. I mean, let's face it, 75% of the vote in the district went for Obama, 64% in Maryland, 62% in Virginia. Those are landslide victories, and because of that, you know, the delegates are determined on a proportional basis. Had it been close, they would have split the delegates and stayed even. But as you mentioned in the intro, Barack Obama is ahead now by 25 delegates simply because his margin of victories in all three of these primaries were huge yesterday.
So do you see this coming down to a floor fight at the convention?
Boy, it's possible. You know, the one thing Hillary Clinton is trying to do now is focus on the March 4th primaries in Texas and Ohio. She was nowhere near the nation's capital last night. She was campaigning in El Paso, Texas. Didn't even mention her defeats last night. So she's focusing on those primaries. Next week, we go to Wisconsin and Hawaii. Now, Barack Obama was born in Hawaii. He grew up there. He's heavily favored there. Wisconsin's a very independent state. It kind of goes its own way a lot of times. And right now, the polls show Obama up in Wisconsin. He has the support of the governor there. The thing of it is there aren't that many delegates at stake next week, but 2 weeks after that, the big states of Texas and Ohio, that's really where Hillary Clinton has to win.
Now, on the other side, you got John McCain doing very well yesterday, but Mike Huckabee wasn't too shabby either.
Well, he did it as the early poll results came in from the rural areas where the pockets of Christian conservatives are very strong in Virginia. Huckabee was dead even with McCain for a long time, which is why it took the network so long to project McCain as a winner last night. But when the votes started coming in from suburban Washington, D.C., the northern suburbs of places such as Alexandria and Arlington, where you have more moderate and independent voters, that's where McCain really surged ahead and won last night.
They do say, though, that John McCain still hasn't won over that hardcore conservative.
Well, he still has a lot of work to do. He brought some conservative heavyweights last night to stand on stage with him in Virginia. For example, Florida Governor Charlie Crist was there, Cuban congressman from Miami, Lincoln Diaz-Balart, who are very, very conservative, came all the way up from Florida to be on stage with McCain last night, in addition to all the dignitaries for Virginia. Sure, they have an uphill fight ahead of them. I tell you, the interesting thing here is Virginia is a very unique state, as is Wisconsin next week. In both of those states, the candidates, or the voters rather, do not have to register by party. They can go in and vote for whomever they want. That is unusual. Most of the primaries you have to register by party. And what we saw last night was huge numbers of people who consider themselves moderates or independents going towards McCain and Obama. And of course, that's the big block of votes each of those men have to win in November if they are the nominees to become president. So we'll see a duplicate of that coming up in Wisconsin this coming Tuesday, where a lot of independents, a lot of moderates, a lot of crossover voters will play a factor on both sides in this race, and that's really foretelling for what's to come in November, perhaps.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Have a safe trip home. We'll talk to you next week. Mark Curtis, live in Washington, D.C. at 7:49. Let's go back to the desk.